Welcome to Wager Talk TV. Scott Spreitzer here talking some college football with Matthew Holt. He is VP of Business Development at CGT Sportsbooks here in Las Vegas. And, of course, longtime capper, bettor Dave Koken, the man under the hat. We've got Michigan and Penn State in Happy Valley this week, guys. And, Matt, I know you guys opened this number 10 down to 9.5. Where has the betting handle been on this game thus far?
So this one's a little bit of a pros versus Joes in a scenario where you wouldn't expect it to be. So the sharp money here actually on the Michigan Wolverines, while over the counter, bettors are heavily favoring Penn State. And that's not been the case at all during the Jim Harbaugh era, where we've seen the public heavily on Michigan almost all the time. But this Penn State team has really wowed the public this year. They have the scoring. They have an unbelievable running back, receiver, quarterback combination. So this Penn State offense is getting all the love from the public here. Right now, as I look, 56% of the bets on Penn State, but 62% of the money on Michigan. The Sharps actually like the Wolverines here, especially at double digits.
Do you remember where you guys made this number, in August for this particular game? Do you remember that off the top of your head?
I think it was Penn State 3.5.
3.5. I knew there's been a big adjustment. Obviously, Michigan's offense not great, losing the game to Michigan State, following that with an overtime win, having to go to overtime against the Hoosiers, Dave. But the Wolverines at least found a running game last week. Higdon ran for 200 yards. But they can't pass the football. And I think against Penn State's defense, going to have to mix it up a little bit.
Well, look, for Michigan, the whole idea is to get the game into the fourth quarter and try and steal it. Because on paper, Penn State's better than they are. Broccoli, of course, is a dynamic running back. He's got a chance to win the Heisman. McSorley, this is the big test for McSorley as far as the quarterbacking goes. Not only to see what he can do as far as leading Penn State to perhaps a playoff spot, but for his NFL future. I think that teams are they're really going to be scouting him heavily here. It's a fascinating game for me because I think the first quarter is going to tell you what happens here. If Penn State gets out of the gate quickly in this game, goodbye Michigan. See you later. They're going to get killed. But if they hang in early, they'll be in for the full 60 minutes, and this is going to get right down to the wire. Michigan's lost 7 games since Harbaugh got there. They've had 1 game, that disaster against Ohio State. Outside of that, the other 6 losses have all been games that could have gone either way. I would tend to think that this is going to fall into that category. One big reason, Michigan can shut down Broccoli. McSorley is going to have to prove that he can get it done in a big-time atmosphere here. He didn't really prove it in terms of getting the points on the board against Iowa. That game was it was misleading from a final score standpoint because Penn State killed Iowa on the stat sheet, but it still needed a score right at the end of the game to win. I think this could be very much the same thing, and I would look for Michigan plus the points here.
That's the thing about this game, Matt, and I think Dave hit it on the head, is you slow down Barkley a little bit. You make him a little less effective, just a little bit, and all of a sudden McSorley has to put the onus of the offense a little bit more on his shoulders. And he's pretty accurate. He's a game manager. He doesn't throw a lot of picks. But he's not that far away from really having to make some incredibly important decisions in a big game. And I'll say this, man, James Franklin, he's turned into one cocky coach for a guy who a year ago, going into the 5th game, in the final minute of the 5th game, was about to go to 2-3 and was this close to being shown the door at Penn State. They win that game in overtime after tying it with a couple of seconds to go. I think it was against Minnesota. Penn State has been nothing but winners ever since, even played well in the bowl game against USC in the loss. Penn State, 10-1-1 spread conference run. Home teams covered 4 of the last 5. Matt, make this one official.
Look, I have to go. I agree with Dave here. If Penn State gets out of the gates quick here, how does Michigan come back? They don't have the offense to turn this into a shootout. This is almost one of those correlated games. If you like Michigan, you might as well like the under 2 because they can't hang in a shootout here with Penn State. If you like Penn State, maybe you like this game to go over because if they're going to cover double digits, they probably need to go ahead and put it on them right here. For me personally, look, I know the Sharps are on Michigan in this game. I am really scared to lay the number with Michigan. I think Penn State has had this game circled. I think they'll still lose a game. I think they could lose 2 to Michigan State and Ohio State, but I think this is the one. They want this game. I think they go out and get the job done Saturday.
Penn State's got Ohio State next, but there's no looking past the Michigan Wolverines. Don't forget, you can get a 7-day all-access package, by the way, from your favorite handicapper at WagerTalk.com. 7-day all-access package, only $99 right now. We'll be back with more college football. We've got NFL, we've got UFC. Stick around. We're Wager Talk TV.